I grew up just a few miles from a stretch of desert near Tonto National Forest in Arizona. Most people think of Arizona as heat, sand, and cactus. But if you've lived here long enough, you know the land keeps secrets. One evening, my friend Caleb and I decided to go exploring. There's a trail near his place that winds into the red sand and jagged rocks. At night, the sky there opens so wide, it feels like you're walking under an ocean of stars. We weren't far in when we found something strange. Carved into a sandstone wall were deep gouges, not animal marks. These were deliberate. 3 vertical cuts, and a 4th slash crossing them. Caleb touched them and frowned. "They're fresh," he said. That's when we heard it, a voice. Thin, rasping, like someone trying to sound human, but failing. It came from somewhere deeper in the rocks. Caleb froze. "You know what that sounds like, right?" he whispered. I didn't answer, but I knew. We'd both heard the stories from the Navajo people in town about the Wendigo, a spirit of greed and hunger, always starving, always hunting. They say it can mimic voices to lure you closer, and once it sees you, it never forgets you. We backed away from the wall, but as we turned to leave, the voice came again. This time, it said my name.
Kyle.
We didn't run at first, but when we heard something heavy moving in the sand behind us, we sprinted. We didn't stop until we were in Caleb's truck, headlights cutting through the night. We didn't speak the whole ride home. I told myself I'd forget about it, that it was just the desert, playing tricks. But 2 nights later, I woke to knocking on my bedroom door. 3 knocks. Pause. Then 1 more. My stomach dropped. The same gouges from the desert were now carved into my door. Then I heard it. That same rasping voice, saying my name, and Caleb's.
Hello, Kyle. Hello, Caleb.
The knocking stopped. Silence. Then, right on the other side of the door, so close I could almost feel the breath. A whisper. I found you, and I realized the desert hadn't let me go. I've hunted in the forests of northern Idaho my whole life. Elk, deer, even the occasional black bear. But nothing prepared me for what I saw last November. There's an area the locals call the Hollow. It's dense, quiet, and even during the day the light feels wrong. Hunters whisper about people going missing there. I thought it was just campfire talk. I went out with my friend Clay, looking for whitetail. We parked the truck miles from the nearest road and hiked in. That's when we started noticing them. Symbols carved into the trees, not initials, not logging marks. These were twisted, circles intersected with jagged lines, strange runes that almost seemed to shift when you stared too long. Some were fresh, the bark still bled sap. Clay swore under his breath and told me they looked demonic. The further in we went, the quieter the forest became. No wind, no birds, even the crunch of our boots felt muted. Then, we heard it. A low, guttural growl. It wasn't like any animal I'd heard. It had weight, like it rattled in your bones. Through the trees we saw it, tall, 7 feet, maybe more. Gaunt limbs like a starving man's, but ending in clawed animal paws. Its head is deer-like but stretched wrong. Skin hung loose in places, fur patchy, eyes glowing like burning coals, and the stench, rotting meat and wet earth. It turned its head toward us. Clay froze. I swear the thing's mouth stretched wider than it should have, filled with needle-like teeth, and then it screamed. Not a roar, not a howl, but a sound that made every instinct in my body tell me to run. We did. Branches tore at my clothes as we sprinted through the dark. That scream followed us, echoing in the trees. I didn't look back. I didn't dare. We didn't stop until we reached the truck, lungs burning, hands shaking so bad I could barely get the keys in the ignition. When we finally got to town, Clay swore he saw the same symbols carved into a tree near his property. 2 weeks later, Clay disappeared. No one's seen him since. I don't hunt anymore, and if you ever find yourself in northern Idaho, stay out of the hollow. Southern Utah has always had its share of strange stories, but last summer my friends and we went looking for one. We found it, and I wish to God we hadn't. It started with a rumor about a network of caves out near Deadwind Mesa, the kind of place the locals avoid. A Navajo acquaintance warned us, if you hear something calling your name out there, it's not a person. We laughed it off. We hiked in at noon, the red rock cliffs towering over us like walls. The entrance was a jagged slit in the canyon face. Inside, the air was colder, heavy with the smell of dust and something faintly metallic. About 50 feet in, we found them, animal bones, dozens, picked clean, piled in strange, deliberate arrangements. On the cave walls, symbols carved deep into the stone, spirals, twisted stick figures, crude shapes that almost looked human, but not quite. The deeper we went, the more we felt watched. We left before sunset, half joking about camping nearby to see if the Skinwalker would show. Looking back, that was our biggest mistake. That night, under a sky full of stars, we pitched our tents in a clearing about half a mile from the caves. The desert was silent, not even crickets. It felt like the world was holding its breath. Around 2 a.m, we heard it. A low, guttural sound, almost like a person trying to growl. Then, the footsteps. Not the steady rhythm of an animal. These were wrong, jerky, unnatural, like something walking, then suddenly dropping to all fours. Then back to 2 legs. The steps circled our tent. Slow at first, then faster, then stopping right outside the thin layer of nylon between us and it. A shadow fell across the tent wall. Tall, crooked, head bent too far to one side. And then it made this noise. Part scream, part laughter, part something I can't even describe without my skin crawling. We bolted, didn't grab our gear, didn't grab our flashlights, just ran under the moonlight. The thing followed for a while, its footsteps pounding and then vanishing, only to start again right behind us. We didn't stop until we reached the truck. None of us spoke the whole drive back to town. Even now, a year later, my buddy Travis still wakes up screaming some nights. He says he can hear it, the laugh scream right outside his bedroom window. He swears he'll never go back to southern Utah again. Me? I'm not so sure I left it behind. Sometimes, on quiet nights, I hear those footsteps, and they're getting closer. Georgia's swamps have their share of legends. Gators the size of cars, strange lights at night, even whispers of ghosts. But what I saw last September wasn't any of those. It was just after dusk near the Okefenokee swamp. The sun had slipped below the tree line and that heavy, wet heat was settling in. I was walking back from checking my fishing lines when I heard it. Something big, moving fast through the brush. At first I thought it was a bear, but then it stepped into view. 8 feet tall, covered in dark greenish scales that caught the moonlight. Its head was long and narrow with ridges along the skull. A tail, thick and muscular, trailed behind it, sweeping the ground, and its eyes, bright yellow, slit pupils, locked right onto me. It hissed, a deep, wet sound that made my skin crawl. And then it did something I'll never forget. It dropped onto all fours and sprinted toward me. Its claws tore at the dirt, tail whipping side to side for balance. I froze for half a second. Then it veered away, darting into the trees with a speed no human could match. A few seconds later, I heard a massive splash somewhere in the water beyond the cypress grove. I went home that night thinking maybe I'd imagined it, but the next morning my neighbor came knocking. He'd seen it too. Same yellow eyes, same scaled skin, cutting across his property just before dawn. And he wasn't the only one. 2 more neighbors swore they'd spotted it near the riverbank that week. Then things got worse. 2 hunters went missing about 4 miles from where I saw the creature. Search teams found their gear, rifles, packs, even their boat, but no sign of them. Just strange 3-toed tracks in the mud, each print over a foot long, leading straight into the swamp. The sheriff's office chalked it up to an alligator attack, but I've lived here my whole life. Gators don't walk on 2 legs, they don't hiss like that, and they sure as hell don't have eyes that follow you like they're thinking. Sometimes, late at night, I'll hear splashing out past the reeds. Sometimes it's far away. Sometimes it's close enough that I can smell it. That same damp reptile musk. I keep the lights off when it happens. I don't want it knowing I'm awake. If you're ever in southern Georgia and you see yellow eyes glowing out of the dark, don't wait to see the rest of it. Run.